So we're going to talk about polarity, two sides of the same coin. It's trying to find the unity in opposites. Life is full of pairs, hot and cold, light and dark, happiness, sadness, love and hate. And sometimes we tend to see these as completely separate things. But the principle of polarity lets us know that these are what we call two different extremes of the same thing. Everything is dual, everything has opposites, everything has two different poles. So opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Sometimes I use a thermometer to think about this. Where does cold begin and where does hot begin? Or where does cold end and hot begin? So there's no clear line on where that starts or ends. And hot and cold are just relative points on the same spectrum of temperature, at least. For real, actually, cold is just less heat, and hot is more heat. They're unified by what we understand as the idea of temperature, only differing by degree of temperature. I really feel like this understanding is gold for transforming your mindset. What this means is when you're in a negative emotion, you're not in a totally different universe than you are when you're in a positive emotion. You're just on a different degree of the same scale of just feeling. You're just at a different point. Hold on, let me cook. And you can slide along that spectrum. Have you ever been just furious with someone that you really care about? In one heated moment, love can flip to hate. Later, as you cool down, though, that hate just turns right back into love. Happens every time. So let's understand what that really means. So that's because love and hate are two ends of the same spectrum, both emotional energy, focused on someone, but just in opposite directions. Really profound thinking when you put it all together like that. The power really comes from knowing that you can transform one to the other. It's like alchemy for the soul. For my friends that don't know what alchemy is, so when you understand polarity, you can perform mental transmutation, turning lead, the negative state, into gold, the positive state. Let me give you an example. For instance, you feel extreme anger, recognizing it as the polar opposite of peace, and that can guide you with what to do next. You can take some steps, some intentional steps to cool down the anger towards what you could call as annoyance. Then from annoyance to calm, effectively just moving across that spectrum of feelings. Like, I don't want to come across like you can just change your feelings from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's not really realistic. But you don't want to think that you have to jump this big jump. That's often very unrealistic, again. But I think what you want to do is try to just nudge yourself across the spectrum, kind of like just dialing it down or dialing it up gradually. Not too much, big dog. Just take it easy, real slow, whatever you can handle in that moment. So going back to that line that I talked about before, what's happening is just finding that continuum that connects your different feelings and just keep adjusting the degree slowly or however much you can handle at one time. Polarity also teaches us tolerance and perspective. If someone's views or ideas, beliefs seem completely opposite your own, consider there might be some common ground. Consider there might be a unifying spectrum somewhere, connecting the both of you or connecting your ideas or beliefs in some way. Now, I'm not trying to get political or anything, although I'm trying to drive an important idea home here. For example, two different political extremes may care deeply about society, the same core value, but express it in opposite ways and think two different things are right for society. Every coin has two sides, but it's still one coin. Understanding this and just seeing this phenomenon can reduce the friction. as opposites often need each other to exist. Let's turn that light bulb on in your head as you start to realize that the truth isn't just black and white. We're often fighting over two different degrees of the same thing. And understanding that can honestly, it can be emotionally just liberating. Suddenly, enemies are seen in a new light, maybe as potential friends who are just on the other side of the spectrum. See, problems really contain the seed of their solution, since the problem and the solution are a pair. The solution is just the problem seen from the other side. When you feel stuck in life, that law of polarity, it just reminds you that the opposite state exists and you have the ability to shift towards it. Bad times contain the potential for good and vice versa. Hold on, let me cook. The principle encourages us to not get all frazzled and scared and trip about the swings between the opposites, but to actually master them. Find the silver lining. In every situation, let me clarify, even in every negative situation, there is a positive pole if you look for it. Just as in a positive situation, there's a negative pole. So you want to be mindful of that as well. Not to dwell on it, but just to understand the full picture. By embracing polarity, you'll find that you don't get just stuck on the extremes so often. You'll be able to mentally travel to its opposite poles incrementally at your own pace by, as we talked about, adjusting those dials ever so slightly when you're ready and not just trying to jump to the whole other side of the spectrum. This means no mood or circumstance has the ability to trap you. Think about how powerful that is. You can transform it by shifting your perspective along the gradient that connects all of these dualities. In short, polarity gives us the wisdom to reconcile all those different paradoxes and gives us the emotional agility to pivot from darkness to light when we need to.